Hey everybody, and welcome to the first, hopefully many more to come videos on MMOs. Now, first, I kind of want to dive into New World and kind of get a taste for it and kind of see if my opinions are Get out of my way. If if the opinions of myself compared to all your guys' opinion. Now, I have played MMOs. I dabbled a little bit in World of Warcraft, ESO, Neverwinter. I really didn't touch on the really old games like Dark Age and stuff, mostly because I was too young and I just didn't have the internet to really play them. So bear with me, and if you guys find anything that I might be wrong about, as always, just leave it down in the comments down below. I love reading comments, good or bad. But to jump right into it, we are going to be comparing this game to ESO, and we're kind of going to be comparing this game to the new MMO that's supposedly possibly going to be coming out, if not next year, 2 years from now, is Ashes of Creation. So let's just jump right into it. First, we are going to be looking at the weapon masteries. Now, there is no specific class system. It's whatever you want to do, you play it. And the way it all progresses is just using the weapon or abilities and killing stuff. Now, as you guys can see, we have a straight sword, a hatchet, a warhammer, a bow, a musket, fire staff, and life staff. Right there, to me anyways, is not giving me many options to choose from. Other games, yes, they have maybe 9 classes, but they also have subclasses where that first class that you start off with, let's just say warrior, eventually could turn into a either gladiator or barbarian or knight or dragon knight. I mean, there's different names for all the subclasses, but there are so many subclasses that stand apart or that kind of break away your character and try to make your character different even from a warrior. But in New World, if you're going to run a straight sword, well, you're just running, sword and board. There's not really anything special to it. Whereas in ESO, not only do you have your classes, but you have 3 different attribute trait lines, which I think they're actually adding a 4th, mostly because the game's been out for a while. But they have 3 that, for the most part, anybody will choose to use abilities out of at least 2 of the traits, or just stick with one whole system like the Dragonite, or they'll branch off to all of them. In this game, it's not the case. But also with ESO, there are so many more different weapon options. Now, other than ESO, there's no guns. But with ESO, there's a fire staff, a restoration staff, and not counting those 2, there's also a frost staff, a lightning staff, and I feel like I'm missing one, but I could be wrong. I think there's 3 DPS Destructo staffs currently, but in this game there's also earth damage, there's dark damage, there's a bunch of different elements to this game, but you are only able to use one of the elements as far as magic. So to me already, that's really disappointing. Lightning or the life staff is perfectly fine, but when I look at the fire staff and look at the abilities, almost all the abilities are just focused on DPS, which isn't a bad thing. You do get a dash with the fire staff, which for a distance character is really good. That way if somebody gets too close, you can just back off, get away. That's perfectly fine. In a MMO that was focusing heavy on PvP, there is no lightning or frost staff that comes to mind anyways, because when I think of a lightning staff, I think of high DPS damage or chain ability damage to multiple targets within a vicinity. Also, when I think of electricity, I think of stun. And with ice, I think of being able to either immobilize or set a character off balance, which you don't see this in New World as far as of right now, which is really disappointing because it just takes away all the potential that just magic users could have. We're not even getting close into the up close and person physical attack damage. Now with the ranged weapons, I'm just talking about bow and muskets. That's pretty cool that you can run either or. Now the muskets actually have different stances that you can also take to like increase your overall damage or to fire multiple shots. So that's pretty cool, especially like I think muskets are going to be more for siege, whereas bows is going to be more for PvE. And then moving on to the two-handed weapons, it's only a warhammer. Now, for somebody that is really big on the way I look, I love to look demonic, badass as fuck. Now, I'm only level 19, and I'm sure obviously like that guy has paints and dyes and all that. And looking at the trade skills and going to the armories, eventually you can kind of make your guy look like a knight or a pretty decked out wizard. But that's kind of it. Um, when it comes to MMOs, I even like the way that my weapons look on a character. Also, determines on if I play or use that weapon or not. Whereas a Warhammer, I can't think of any MMO that I've actually used a mace for. I personally don't care for the weapon as much. For me, I like great swords and some and I'm actually thinking about Skyrim. There's some pretty cool great axes in Skyrim, especially like the Daedric and all that. But I'm not too big of a fan on Warhammers or maces. But that's just my personal opinion. So with that being said, why do we only see a mace or a warhammer for a weapon when there could be a two-handed warhammer, two-handed sword, two-handed axe, and with that, the warhammer would be more of a siege break weapon, whereas the sword would be more on the just increasing your overall damage, and the axe being able to maybe bleed a target. That is where ESO kind of hit its points on, hey, we these weapons do this. It's your choice, however you want to do it. And then going into the one-handed weapons, we have a straight sword and hatchet, and that's it. Hatchet that you can throw, so it does have some range capabilities. Whereas a straight sword, it's more just up close in person and being more of the tanky player, which isn't bad at all. But where are the other one-handed weapons? Like, I mean, I would love to see spears. I don't think a lot of MMOs focus on like spears. I honestly thought ESO was going to be the exception with like spears and halberds, but we never saw them. Even two-handed weapons would be a pretty cool like halberd, being able to spin around or do a long jump attack. That is some stuff this game is definitely missing. So one-handed weapons, obviously I would love to see like a mace for like armor pen to lower a target's defense. Kind of like a bard, but with the mace you're tanky, but you're also reducing someone's defense or somebody's block. That way like you and somebody else can more efficiently gang up on a person, or just completely destroy a guy that is just all out tank and no deep power. And then on top of that, daggers. Daggers in ESO also increase your critical. I think it's your critical strike rating. So you have like a 1.5% chance to crit. And with two daggers, I think it gets up to 3%, so a total of 6. But they might change it by then. I did stop playing ESO after a year or two. But you just don't see that here. And I figured with the way the armor systems and stuff are set up, the heavier armor you have, the more stamina it takes to dodge, but you're not dodge rolling. You're just doing a quick dash. Whereas more light armor, you're able to dodge roll and actually kind of sprint. I think you actually sprint a little faster. So honestly, I think seeing some actually just more weapons in general, would be phenomenal. I think definitely to make this game a little better and feel a little better, and give a more variety to a player base, because for the most part, with this game, and I'm sure I'll play this game even if they don't do much when it actually comes out, mostly because there's not a lot of good games out as of currently, and there's not a lot of new good games out. But I think New World is probably the exception because it has so much potential. It just needs to hit it. So going, not talking about the weapons anymore. We're more talking about the skills. Now with the skills, trust me, I'm okay with just having 3 skills. I love Neverwinter, but even then, Neverwinter had 3 abilities that you could cast plus an ulti. We do not see any ultis or any like special thing that makes that weapon stand out. Now, like if they had daggers, they could do blade dance where your guy just takes both of them and just fury like fucking uh, violently attacks a target, whereas a sword and shield alt can be like your guy like sticks his sword into the ground, and with the shield he shoots like a cone laser. I don't know, something that makes the weapon stand out, and we just don't see it in this game at all. So that is a honestly a little disappointing. Now with the actual skills in a weapon, each weapon has 2 different trait paths that you can take, but doing so will limit you on the passives, because I'm pretty sure you can only get your level to 20, so that's only 20 passives that you can take, or in 20 skills, or 20 skills plus the passives that you can take out of all of them. So I think with ultis, I think that could be a thing, and then on top of that, we're actually looking at the Warhammer, and the Warhammer does get a additional ability with the mighty gravel, where your guy slams the hammer over the guy's head. But this down below will be able to make it so you can actually activate it again. And I kind of think that's what more of the abilities need, where you're able to keep activating the ability, or activate the ability. Let's say you want to do your whirlwind spin in like 5 seconds, or after you press it, you should be able to activate it again. So your guy does like another like 180 jump on the target. Same thing with the bash. If you bash a target, you should be able to hit it again because he's stunned, instead of going in for just a little light attack. Now they usually expect you to bash somebody, then do the whirlwind spin, and then just go into your light attacks. But then you're in your light attacks for about 10 seconds, depending on how much focus that you have built up. And we'll get to that in a sec as well. So I think the skills are there. I just think they need to be a little bit more polished. And with the way the combat feels in this game, for PvE and PvP, it just feels like if you're facing more than a few enemies, you're just gonna get fucked no matter what. And with MMOs, I'm all about the AOE DPS damage that character is able to do. That's why, oh god, with Neverwinter, I can't remember the class, but I went the guy that does all the ice abilities. And with ESO, I was a Templar, so I was all lightning spear spam. So honestly, seeing what this game has the ability to become is definitely a vision, but it's just if Amazon Games, a billion-dollar company, is actually going to hit it. Now, talking about the actual attributes, they have 5 currently, which is strength, dexterity, intelligence, focus, and constitution. Obviously, constitution focuses on your health, so you're a little more tanky. Focus increases your mana regen and the cooldown reduction of all your abilities. Intelligence focuses on just magic damage, whereas dexterity is ranged weapons. I'm pretty sure axes, because axes also can be used as range. And strength is more focused on your sword and hammer abilities and damage. For me, that's all fine, but where is like the stamina regen? Where is like the extra like weight capacity when it comes to like demon souls? Like when you wear heavy armor, at some point you're not going to be able to like roll fast, but you can build up your skills to where you can eventually fast roll dodge. Now this game, it doesn't have it, which is a little disappointing. It maybe if even if they don't do like, if you're wearing heavy armor you can't roll dodge, even if they do, just make it so when I'm actually blocking, I can just get my stamina back a lot faster compared to like a assassin base axe thrower range character that will just be able to take away all my stamina from a distance and then destroy me. So that's definitely a possibility with some of the skills and well attributes. I mean, um, but as it currently stands, it's okay, I guess. I personally don't like seeing attributes when you're limited to the level unless you can get all the abilities to max, because that's where I think of like games like Demon Souls and Dark Souls, where you're completely eventually able to deck out all your skills and then basically choose whatever you want. If you just want to be a full-on magic caster, or if you want to be up close and have magic support, that's perfectly fine. Or if you just want to be up close and not even run magic, that's also fine, because there's other ways to like increase your weapon damage with pines resins and stuff. It's just not there for the most part as far as the attributes. I feel a little weird saying that, but I think also it would kind of be cool to see maybe they do have the life staff. It would kind of be cool to see maybe like a bell or an amulet sort of weapon to just basically main healing, whereas the life staff is a main heal, or you can go DPS, but you don't really see that. But also on top of that, when you are using your abilities, let's say your Q and E, my sword right now has a 21-second cooldown for one and 12 seconds for the other one. When you switch over to your hammer, which, by the way, switching weapons doesn't feel smooth at all, your hammer is still on a cooldown unless your hammer has an ability for a different weapon that you never used, which is kind of why I have the sword and hammer set up the way I do. That is a little weird to me, because with ESO, you're able to use basically two primary weapons, and each trait or each build has 5 abilities plus the ulti. The only thing that you're only able to use one on of the 2 primary weapon slots is the ulti. Once you use an ulti on one, you can't switch over and use an ulti on the other. That would just be overpowered. But what you can do is, like with the sorcerer, you can use your big ulti, like the destruction staff ulti, and then immediately as a sorcerer do a few light attacks, and then go into, I call them lightning palms, and just start zapping everybody. That is a solution, because one ulti only takes 100, where the other one takes 250 ulti to use. But you just don't see any of that in New World whatsoever, which was a little disappointing to me. And this is, I think, where ESO probably was when they started development for their first year, and then basically made ESO of like what it is now. Whereas Amazon just, I don't, for a $1 billion company, you should be able to be on the highest tower, mountain, helicopter, plane, and see the big picture, and just see what this game potential this game has, and it's just not there. Then finally, for me anyways, like one of the bigger questions is the gathering and crafting. I'm a huge fan of having to take hours out of my time to gather up the materials and only craft 15, 20 plus weapons, which is perfectly fine to me. But with the way their storage or inventory is set up, now as a lower level, obviously it does take a little bit longer. Should you only have one bag space, you will eventually be able to create craft higher tier bags, and you'll be at level 30 and 45 you'll be able to put additional bags. And I think this first bag, I think, added either 20 or 50 bag space, but I think in the beginning of the game, like the inventory space might need a little bit more, or just reduce the amount of what it takes. Because when I was playing this beta, I felt like I was just mostly just running back and forth to the city constantly, and with no mounts, it got a little tedious, definitely in the beginning. But that just could be a me thing, personally. But with the crafting, obviously the gathering and crafting is a little bit different, whereas the crafting or the gathering goes from like 300, and the crafting only goes to level 50. But all in all, the crafting and gathering does feel good. They have a bunch of herbs to gather. The only thing that feels a little slow, especially in the beginning, is carving, because there's only monsters that can provide leather for you can increase your carving, especially after you kill them. But the thing is, with this game, there's a certain spots with it, but I think they kind of need to up the enemy spawn rate just a little bit. And while playing this, I think it was out like crocodiles or alligators that I was fighting that I was trying to carve and wasn't getting a single leather from them, which that could have just been a bug, which is perfectly fine. It's not the actual game, it's just a preview, so I didn't get too testy with it, but it was preventing me to come back and finish off my weaponsmithing and armor smithing. So all in all, I really have nothing bad to say about the crafting. The weapon masteries definitely need some work, and maybe they could look into the actual attributes and maybe either add a few. Definitely for people that want to go more of a tanky side. But guys, that is going to be it for the video. This video is more just focusing on just what you can see and what you can tell early on into the game. We're going to be kind of venturing for more of a later game and seeing how it feels, especially early on in the game when you are able to eventually accept PvP quests, choose your faction, join guilds. We'll definitely have a separate video for that, mostly because I don't want this video to be 40 minutes long, because there was a lot to talk about, guys. It is still a preview. Honestly, it kind of frightens me because when they delayed the spring release in 2020 and we're kind of getting a preview now of the game, it tells me this is what a billion-dollar company was going to release to us. And there, trust me, there's like maybe 40% thought into the game and 60% that just blows my mind of like why. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I kind of enjoyed doing this video, first one, and I'll see what you guys have to say about it. And also, don't get me wrong with this video, I didn't want to talk about Ashes of Creation because really we haven't gotten a chance to really play it, or, you know, we've definitely seen some gameplay on it, and just from gameplay alone, from the alpha testing from this game and the alpha testing from Ashes is 20 times more polished than this game, and Ashes, it just knows like what they're doing for the most part, and Amazon Game Studios definitely needs to figure some stuff out. Now, that being said, as a big waiter and fan for New World, honestly, I really think Amazon needs to take another step back, and unless they can produce something in the matter of 4 to 6 months, I really think they need a 2022 release. But I don't think that's going to happen because with Ashes coming right around the corner, or being right around the corner in the next couple years, they know that a lot of people are just going to jump off this game and definitely join the Ashes wagon. But that's all my thoughts on this game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next one. Like, subscribe, do whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.